Hey, what's up, Pep Nation? We're there, we're finally there. We're at the French contrast method of training. We're peaking, getting right to the top of that mountain right now over the next 5 weeks. We're here on day 1, it's horizontal power production. Now, I'm just gonna very quickly explain what French contrast method of training is, and then we're gonna dive straight into the workout. What French contrast training is effectively most types of this type of training will be 4 exercises. The first one is gonna be a strength exercise, so we're working all the way up that force velocity curve. The second exercise is categorized by what's called a slow stretch shortening cycle exercise. So what we want to think about is your standard power exercises, things like jumps, that kind of stuff. The third exercise is a power exercise with a little bit of weight. And the fourth exercise is something that either shortens ground contact time or is a fast stretch shortening cycle exercise. So what we're trying to think here is the highest velocity movements that you could possibly do. That's what you want to do for the fourth exercise. This has been shown to be great for peaking methods in terms of your training. So hopefully over the next 5 weeks, you guys are absolutely going to smash it in terms of your goals and then get ready for whatever it is that you're preparing for with this program. Let's get after it. Hey guys, so today is our horizontal power production day. So we're really working on a little bit of speed, a little bit of power, working on acceleration, working on broad jump capacity, all of that good stuff in terms of the horizontal power production. So we started off with a little bit of activation. We did banded lateral side steps followed by against the wall, banded hip hyperextensions, again trying to get those hip flexors to fully extend while we contract that glute. After that, we did a little bit of foot activation because we are doing some sprint training today and acceleration work. So we just did a banded posterior tibialis activation, as you guys are seeing there. And finally, our last exercise was just something to make sure that the actual hip flexors are working. So a lot of people, when they're trying to flex the hip, especially when they're sprinting, there's a little bit of spinal curvature surrounding that lumbar spine, and you're not really getting full extension of the hip and contraction of the opposite side glute. So what we did here is we got Shay up against the wall, just really working on maintaining a nice tight core while those hips are actually doing the work to flex that hip there. All right guys, after our activation and a little bit of dynamic mobility, we went straight into our wall training series just to really get into the right mechanics for those sprints. So we started off with a single leg wall piston step. So all that you're doing is just really trying to drive hard into the ground. We went then straight to a single leg wall pull through, again trying to get those hips working fast, firing fast so that we can drive through each phase of those acceleration steps. Then we went to a quick switch on the wall. So again, just trying to switch the feet as quickly as possible, fire the opposite hip and opposite glute. And after that, we did a single leg wall pull through, straight into a piston step. After the leg work, we went and did some arm mechanics. So we went through 50%, 75%, and 100% of arm movement, making sure that we're moving through those right angles, trying to get the shoulder to really work. Again, just warming up the shoulder a little bit. After our mechanics, we went straight into just a little bit of ballistic work with the hip extension and step against the band resistance that you see there, just to try and really work on finishing through the foot. We paired that with our acceleration series, so it was just one knee down, really trying to lean forward, focus on the ball of the foot in the front leg, and driving through 10-yard acceleration and just coming to a stop after about 15, 20 yards. We went and did that and then moved straight onto our French contrast method of training for horizontal power. Okay, so for our French contrast method of training for horizontal power, again, it was all focused on hip explosion. So we started off our strength work for this contrast was the barbell hip thrust, just 3 reps of that. We then went straight into a depth jump to a broad. Again, this is working that slower stretch shortening cycle, a little bit of slower ground contact time, but really making sure that we're pushing off the ground after we land on it. Then we went straight into a kettlebell swing against the band. So this is a great power exercise for that horizontal power production. We did 5 reps there, moving finally onto our fast twitch muscle fiber training, that fast stretch shortening cycle exercise with the banded hip explosion, that banded hip thrust there. With the banded hip thrust, you want to make sure that you're getting a really quick eccentric contraction, turning it around and holding that isometric contraction after every single rep to get the most out of this exercise here. After we finished our French contrast training, we finally got onto our accessories. We're just working on that transverse plane movement with the cable rotation and pairing that again, trying to get the hip flexor, the hamstring glute complex on both sides to work synergistically with one another. We went and did a Swiss ball hamstring curl on the single leg with a hip flexion hold. All right guys, hope you enjoyed the first workout of the French contrast method peaking phase. We're in the final phase. Let's make sure we get after every single workout. We're really trying to push that weight, really trying to push that speed, and let's get it going.